Have you ever felt that, that real cushion pull between, all the daily stuff, the job, family, just the endless list, and that really deep, almost burning desire inside to create something?
Yeah, to tell your own story, right?
Exactly. To express something vital. We're talking today about those silences, those things that can interrupt or delay, or sometimes just completely stop our most important work from ever, happening. And today we're taking a deep dive into the truly remarkable life and the enduring work of Tillie Olsen. She was a writer who didn't just capture these silences.
No, she did more than that. She turned them into these incredibly powerful voices.
Yes, voices for women, for the working class, for communities often pushed to the margins.
It's such a unique perspective she had. And it really came directly from her own life, didn't it? As an activist, a mother, and, a writer really fighting for her craft.
Definitely.
So we're going to explore how these roles weren't just influences. They were, fundamentally tangled together. They shaped her fiction, particularly the collection Tell Me a Riddle.
Which is amazing.
Oh, it is. And her essays, too, especially silences. Her life and art, you just can't separate them.
Absolutely. So our mission today, really, is to unpack how Olsen's own journey, her political beliefs, her activism, how all that fed directly into her art.
Right.
We'll look at how her work shows those intricate links, the ones often hidden, between private struggles and public life.
And what it means for us now.
Exactly. What her insights mean for you listening now as we try to figure out our own stories in this pretty complex world. Get ready for some surprising stuff, I think, and connections that go beyond the usual. Okay, so let's start by digging into the incredible tapestry of Tillie Olsen's life, right of her roots.
Yeah.
She's born in Nebraska, probably 1912 and 1913. Sources differ slightly. Her parents, Samuel and Ida Lerner, were Russian Jewish immigrants.
And they weren't just immigrants. They were deeply political, involved in the 1905 revolution back in Russia, close to the Bund.
Right, the Bund. Could you remind us what the Bund was exactly?
Sure. It was a really prominent Jewish socialist group in Russia. They championed workers' rights, but also, importantly, cultural autonomy for Jewish people. It was a movement really steeped in that revolutionary spirit.
And that spirit was clearly part of her home life.
Oh, definitely. Her home wasn't just, a working-class immigrant family context. It was a place where you understood your own struggles as part of these bigger, global human struggles for survival and dignity.
That makes sense. And this early exposure, it shaped her path very early on.
Absolutely foundational. Olsen became politically active as a teenager, joined the Young People's Socialist League, then the Young Communist League in 1931.
You have to remember the context there. The Great Depression.
Exactly. For a lot of people back then, communism seemed like a more humane and more socially successful vision than the capitalism they saw failing all around them.
And she wasn't just talking the talk.
No way. I mean, get this. She was actually jailed in Kansas City. She was helping organize a strike in a packing house. And while she was in jail, she got pleurisy, that's a serious lung inflammation, and it later developed into incipient tuberculosis.
My goodness. That just shows the sheer physical risk, the personal cost of her activism back then.
It really does. And then almost right alongside this intense political commitment came another huge force in her life, motherhood.
Right. She had her first daughter when she was just 19.
Yeah, 19 years old in 1932, which, incredibly, is the same year she started writing her novel, Yonnondio.
Talk about a balancing act.
Oh, lifelong. The sources call it a constant balancing act of mothering her family and working for pay. Margaret Atwood put it so well.
What did Atwood say?
She said Olsen did not write for a very simple reason. A day has 24 hours. For 20 years, she had no time, no energy, and none of the money that would have bought both.
Oof, that hits hard.
Oh.
And sadly, still resonates for so many creative women, doesn't it?
It really does. And then, on top of all that internal struggle, you layer on the external pressures. The 1950s, McCarthyism.
Right, the Red Scare.
Exactly. Olsen and her family faced what the sources call soul-destroying harassment. Her husband, Jack, he got blacklisted from his union work.
And the FBI? They actually followed her.
Literally followed her from job to job. She'd get fired right after they showed up.
Unbelievable. How do you even begin to build a creative life under that kind of pressure?
It's almost impossible to imagine. But interestingly, that same period, the 50s, also marked a kind of shift.
A shift how?
Well, it was a passage, as one course puts it, from those super busy motherwork activist years. Her youngest kids started school.
Ah, okay, so a little bit of space opened up.
A little bit, enough that she could finally snatch the necessary moments to write. And that led her to enroll in a writing class at San Francisco State in '54.
And that opened doors.
Big time. It led to a Stegner Fellowship at Stanford, which is really prestigious. And that's where she finished some really important early work, like, Hey, Sailor, what ship?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, and the first chunk of Tell Me a Riddle.
It's amazing she held on to those ideas through all the chaos. How does she even do that?
Well, this is fascinating. She got into this habit of copying quotes from library books onto 3x5 index cards.
Just simple index cards.
Yeah. And listen to how she described them. They came stained over the years, dog-eared, torn tacked, over sink or stove during tasks, or over my work desk, or still habitually pulled out to reread while on the bus or waiting somewhere.
That's such a vivid image,
Yes.
like grabbing bits of inspiration amidst the absolute grind of daily life.
Exactly. It perfectly illustrates what she called, quoting Kafka actually, her bliss of movement, desperation about constriction, craziness of endurance. It was a method born out of pure necessity.
And that incredible persistence, it eventually paid off. She got major recognition later on.
Oh, yes. The Rhea Award for the short story in 1994 for lifetime achievement. Her role in really giving voice to the uniquely female experience became, her lasting legacy.
So this core challenge that Olsen wrestled with, the one she explores so deeply in her book Silences, it boils down to this question, right? What does it actually take to be a writer?
Yeah, and she had a pretty clear, maybe tough answer.
What was it?
She said it takes how much conviction as to the importance of what one has to say, one's right to say it. You need that deep belief.
Okay, that makes sense. But then she added something crucial.
Right. She added that for a woman in her time, having that conviction and the circumstances to act on it was almost impossible.
Almost impossible. That's stark.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What were these silences she was talking about? It wasn't just about being quiet.
No, much deeper.
She observed that literary history and the present are dark with silences, and she backed it up with stats. When her book came out in '78, she pointed out that only 1 out of 12 works in the accepted literary canon were by women.
1 out of 12. Wow.
Yeah. So she asks, is this because of the knife of the perfectionist attitude, that inner voice telling you it's not good enough?
That crippling self-doubt.
Or is it simply a lack of the basic conditions for establishing the habits of creativity? The external stuff, time, money, space, support.
It's such an important distinction. Internal versus external barriers.
And she used these really vivid comparisons to show what those external conditions looked like for men versus women. Think of Joseph Conrad.
The novelist?
Yeah. He had apparently unconfined solitude for his writing. His life was made easy and noiseless by a silent, watchful, tireless affection. Basically, someone else handled everything else.
Okay, so he had the ideal setup.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now contrast that with Catherine Mansfield. Her diaries just lay bare the domestic reality.
What did she write?
Things like, the house seems to take up so much time. So often this week, you and Gordon have been talking while I wash dishes. Well, someone's got to wash dishes and get food.
Oof. You can feel the frustration.
And then that killer line from her husband, Tig, isn't there going to be tea? It's 5 o'clock.
Right on cue. It just perfectly illustrates that lack of a homely underpinning, as Olsen called it. That invisible support system just wasn't there for most women.
And that ties directly into what Olsen said about motherhood specifically.
Yeah, she had some strong words about that.
She called it almost certain death to creation.
Wow, that's a blunt.
Because, she argued, motherhood means being instantly interruptible, responsive, responsible. Your focus is constantly broken.
Right. Distraction, not meditation, becomes habitual. Interruption, not continuity.
Exactly. And that, she believed, is why almost no mothers have created enduring literature. It's a controversial point maybe, but grounded in her own hard experience.
Even Virginia Woolf, who didn't have children.
Right. Even Woolf wrote in her diary that if her demanding father had lived longer, his life would have entirely ended mine. What would have happened? No writing, no books, inconceivable.
It's genuinely sobering. It makes you wonder how many potential masterpieces, how many voices were just silenced by circumstance.
Exactly. And how many still are? But Olsen didn't just point out the problem. She did something really groundbreaking.
What was that?
Well, Annie Gottlieb, who reviewed feminist books on motherhood, she called Olsen the first. The first to do two things: extend supposedly universal human experience to include women, and to actually dignify uniquely female experience, like motherhood, like domestic labor, as a valid source of human knowledge.
Ah, okay, so not just seeing it as an obstacle, but as a source of insight itself.
Precisely. She took those private, often dismissed struggles and showed how they hold universal truths. She made the personal profoundly political and, well, universally human. Okay, so let's really get into Tell Me a Riddle, her most famous collection. This is where you see all these themes just come alive.
Yeah, the fiction is where it really hits home.
Absolutely. The stories are brilliant at showing that connection, the interrelatedness of the private sphere and the public. It's always about seeing the family, the individual, within the larger social context.
It's never just about what happens inside the house.
Never. It always connects outwards. So let's start with I Stand Here Ironing.
Such a powerful story, that mother's voice.
It's unforgettable, isn't it? It's basically a monologue, this stream of consciousness as she irons. She's thinking about her oldest daughter, Emily, who's 19 now.
And who grew up in really difficult circumstances.
Yeah, anxious poverty, Olsen calls it. And the mother is just wrestling with this guilt over the choices she had to make, the pressure of circumstance, the sheer limits on choice.
And how that shaped Emily. Her quietness, her clogged weeping.
Right. And that final line or thought, the mother's prayer for her daughter, let her know. She is more than this dress on the ironing board, helpless before the iron.
Oh, that image. Human potential just pressed flat, waiting. It's devastating.
It really is. Okay, then there's, oh yes, a very different story, but related themes.
This one's about friendship, right? Between two young girls.
Yeah, Carol, who's white, and Pearlie, who's black. Their childhood friendship starts falling apart when they hit junior high.
Olsen draws on her own memories here too, doesn't she? Of the black church.
She does. She describes the church as a certain kind of community where you could let things out, a place of intense emotional expression.
But for Carol, the white girl, it's too much.
It's overwhelming. She experiences it as cacophony, noise that almost becomes silence for her because she can't process it. It highlights a cultural gap opening up.
And the school environment pushes them apart too.
Massively. Olsen portrays the junior high as this univocalizing force, like it tries to force everyone into the same mold, erasing differences.
Along racial and class lines.
Exactly. And the story really emphasizes the silences in Carol's world. She never gets explanations from her mother, Alva, or from Pearlie about why things are changing, why these divisions are appearing.
The things left unsaid.
Precisely. Then, briefly, hey, Sailor, what ship? This one focuses on a male character, Whitey.
The alcoholic sailor.
Yeah, his life is just tragically wasted. He's presented almost as a ghost from the past, from the 1930s labor militancy.
A victim of changing times.
Partly that, a victim of the death of the Brotherhood, but also hinting at a deeper psychosexual problem that's never fully explained. It remains a riddle. His whole disorientation mirrors the feeling of many radicals who felt lost as the political climate shifted rightward.
A haunting portrayal of disillusionment.
Very much so. Okay, now for the big one. The title novella, Tell Me a Riddle. Olsen said this was very, very autobiographical.
It starts with this intense conflict between the old couple, David and Eva.
Married 47 years.
Yeah.
And locked in this deadly battle of wills. David wants to retire to the Haven, his lodge's retirement home. He wants community, freedom from responsibility.
But Eva wants something completely different.
The opposite, really, after a lifetime of what she calls desperation and humiliation. Patching clothes, scrimping, always making use, she fiercely desires solitude.
Never again to be forced to move to the rhythms of others. That line is so powerful.
It's her cri de coeur, her cry from the heart. She wants her own space, her own time, finally.
And Eva's spirit, especially as she gets sicker, is just incredible. That moment in the hospital.
Oh, yes. When they list her as Jewish and she insists, tell them to write. Race, human, religion, none.
Such a defiant assertion of universal humanity, even then.
Absolutely. And as she's dying, she starts talking almost nonstop. It's described as a cantata.
Like a musical piece.
Exactly. Fragments of memory, snatches of Yiddish song, political ideals from her youth, images of war and suffering from the whole century. She even remembers Lisa, her teacher back in Russia, who taught her to read and was later executed.
Her whole life, her whole world pouring out.
It is. And Olsen uses these incredibly potent metaphors. Eva's body near the end is described as all bones and a swollen belly.
It's a disturbing image.
It is. Or calls it mocking visual echoes of starvation and pregnancy, showing the brutal physical toll of patriarchal motherhood and poverty on her body.
And David, her husband, he starts to listen differently, doesn't he?
He does. At first, he's frustrated, calls her a babbler. But gradually, he starts hearing the echoes of their shared youth, their socialist ideals, the things he feels he lost. He's forced to confront the monstrous shapes of what had actually happened in the century.
It's like he's finally seeing their life and the world through her eyes.
In a way, yes. And their granddaughter, Jeannie, the nurse, she plays a key role here.
How so?
She's like a gentle midwife to this process. She sketches their hands clasped together, feeding each other. It's a symbol of this late life reawakening of love and understanding.
A moment of grace.
Yes. But Eva's final vision is purely her own. It's not about David, really. It's a memory of childhood joy.
The wedding scene.
Right. A wedding and they dance while the flutes so joyous and vibrant tremble in the air. It's like a reclaiming of her own essential self, a truth she finds right at the end. So Olsen's work, it really pushes beyond just individual stories, doesn't it? It's not about the typical quest for identity.
No, she seemed less interested in that internal quest.
Much more interested in the external. She believed circumstances are the primary key, not the personal quest for identity. She focused on, as she put it, the kind of soil out of which people have to grow and the kind of climate around them.
The environment shapes the person.
Profoundly. And her goal for writing wasn't just self-expression. She wanted it to help change that which is harmful for human beings in our time. It was fundamentally about social change.
So how does her writing do that? Are there specific ways, maybe recurring ideas or images?
Yes, definitely. The scholar Elaine Neal Orr points out 3 really powerful metaphors that kind of unlock Olsen's vision.
Okay, what are they?
First, journeying, but not the usual lone hero's journey. For Olsen, it's a communal struggle for place, identity, and community.
So traveling together.
Exactly. It's less about getting from A to B and more about the journey into presence with other people, finding connection along the way. Nell Morton, another scholar, summed it up beautifully. The journey is home.
Meaning belonging is found in the shared experience itself.
Precisely. The second metaphor is blossoming.
Like a flower.
Yeah, representing that innate human unfolding creative potential that everyone has, but which can be tragically thwarted by social conditions, poverty, sexism, racism, lack of education.
Like Eva's question in Tell Me a Riddle.
Exactly. So strong for what? To rot, not grow. It's that cry against wasted potential, against lives unable to fully bloom.
That's powerful. And the third one?
Piecing. Think of Olsen, the writer, as a word worker, similar to the needle workers, often women who came before her.
Making something beautiful out of scraps.
Yes. Creating beauty and warmth from scraps and leftovers, like Anna in Yonnondio making coats from an old quilt, or Janella in another story building a mansion from things she finds at the dump. It emphasizes the value in making something meaningful from limited, overlooked resources.
So journeying, blossoming, piecing, these 3 ideas weave together.
They do, or calls it a mosaic of meanings. Together, they suggest a kind of new spirituality where individuals and communities find grace and freedom through ways of living that support each other, that are mutually enhancing.
And her writing style itself helps create this effect. You mentioned heteroglossia earlier.
Right, that's a term from the literary theorist Bakhtin, but Rachel Blau-Duplessis applied it really well to Olsen. It means letting multiple voices be heard within the text.
Not just the main character's voice.
No, all the conflicting voices within a person and within society. Olsen deliberately amplifies multiple and conflicting voices, especially those usually denied the written form, the voices of the poor, of women, of immigrants.
As a way to push back against the single dominant story.
Exactly. To resist that monologic discourse. Think about the style of I stand here ironing. That fragmented, circling monologue reflects the mother's complex inner life, the fragmentation of her life, and makes her voice undeniably present.
So the style mirrors the content.
Perfectly. And underlying all of this is Olsen's core belief. Art is a moral and didactic act. It's meant to teach, to move, to connect.
It's not just art for art's sake.
Not at all. It's not severed from the personal or social needs that are its source. So think about Jeannie's sketches in Tell Me a Riddle or Eva's Dying Cantata. These aren't just pretty objects.
They're acts of communication, of connection.
Yes, they annul aesthetic distance. They pull you right in. They're based on vulnerability and need, and this connects everything craft, like gardening or quilting, and art, like writing or painting. Olsen saw them all as part of one spectrum of human production. All valuable, all meaningful. #tag outro.
Wow. So we've really journeyed, haven't we, through this intricate landscape of Tillie Olsen's life and her work. We've explored those deep silences.
The ones that stop creativity.
Yeah. and the incredibly powerful voices that can actually emerge from struggle. Her stories like, "Tell me a riddle, I stand here ironing." They do more than just entertain you.
Much more. They really challenge you.
They do. They challenge you to look deeper at the circumstances, the context that shapes people's lives, and to recognize the worth, the potential in everyone, especially those on the edges.
Her legacy is just huge in that sense. She helped democratize the literary canon, insisting that literature has a real job to do.
An obligation.
An obligation to deepen consciousness and facilitate social change. She wasn't shy about that. And she asked something of us, the readers, too.
What does she ask?
To be active readers, to be permeable to multiple voices, to actually make the effort to make and articulate connections between different marginalized experiences. It's about listening differently.
Listening with more openness, more empathy.
Exactly. An open ear and an open heart. Actively seeking out those stories we might not normally hear.
So, thinking about you, listening right now,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway? I think Tillie Olsen's work, especially how she often uses phrases like could be or not yet or so far.
Yeah, that sense of possibility.
Right. It feels like a testament to this enduring human capacity for hope. It's like an invitation, really. An invitation to understand that the silences we've been talking about, they aren't necessarily permanent.
They can be broken.
They can. And maybe by truly hearing, truly acknowledging the complexities, the hardships, and the potential in people's lives, and seeing how our social structures impact them. Maybe that's the first step.
The first step towards a world where, as Olsen hoped, full human development isn't just a privilege for some,
but a real possibility for everyone. So the question for you maybe is, what might you uncover? What new understanding might emerge if you start listening more intently? Not just to the voices, but to the silences too all around you.